We're asking tonight, do you think the ongoing graft investigations will yield the desired results? Talk to us on 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag. The big question, I guess, tonight on my left, Mukurweni, Member of Parliament, Kabando, and Oraka MP, TJ Kajwang. And I think I'll start with you because your coalition, or CORD, has been very much against the current war against graft going on, what EACC has been doing.
Good evening, Hussein.
Evening.
And thank you for bringing my brother here. I'm not so sure your selection here will give you the results that you desire, because you know we share a lot of history. But all the same, you know, Hussein, corruption in this country, the fight of corruption, has a context and has a narrative. What we have wanted is to see the goodwill, is to see the strength by which the government is able to tame this vice called corruption. What the government has done is to deal with what the law called misdemeanor. You know, they are talking about abuse of office, they are talking about Chapter 6 integrity, they are talking about some weighbridge misdemeanor, or some guy who may have had issues with the weighbridge people, like my friend Keter and so on. The kind of thing that Kenyans are talking about is the grand corruption. We are talking about Anglo leasing, we are talking about the golden bag, we are talking about the chicken saga, we are talking about pilfering of billions of shillings that hurt the economy of this country.
Some of which are under investigations.
Some of which are always under investigations. The only ones which are ready all the time is the ones which date some 2 or 3 months of misdemeanor. And you see, even in those abuse of offices, you will see that a minister or someone is being accused of influencing this and that, which does not necessarily lead to loss of money from the coffers. It is only a decision which is taken, which of course is corrupt, but it's just a misdemeanor. Come on, we want a decisive effort that will bring us the money, but also which will bring the people who have stolen from the funds. This is
talking about the technicality. I'll come back to you on why then you're saying there's no goodwill from the government. Let me get Kabando's response first.
Thank you once more. Also, I'm very happy to reconnect with my senior in college, my predecessor in Sonu, TJ Kajwang, and my senior in Parliament, temporary Deputy Speaker. Hussein, the accusation here that there is slowness in the war on graft is okay. And I don't think there is anybody from any side of the political divide in Kenya. The presidency, the parliament, judiciary, the independent commissions, or even the actual pure politics who divide in terms of coalition, the opposition, and the Jubilee coalition who say no. But what we need to say, and firmly so, is that the back in terms of investigating, in terms of prosecuting, and in terms of ruling or judging as to whether one is guilty or
not guilty,
not guilty, lies with independent institutions. That is the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the EACC, the judiciary, and even we in Parliament, because we have a very strong constitutional mandate of oversight.
Right.
I think we should appreciate at this point, because people are alluding even to the list of shame that was unveiled after the presidential State of the Nation address, that the president did initiate a move. But beyond that move, and it was applauded it was cheered by both sides of the House, because it was a courageous, unprecedented expose on the floor of the House. Beyond there, we have to allow the independent organs of the state to do their work.
Okay. Do you agree with that? He was applauded. We all saw that in Parliament that day. And if you're talking about goodwill and what the government has done, it's not really up to the president to go and do these investigations.
Well, my only problem with this government is that it has perfected the art of PR. You look at those guys and they look good. They seem to be doing what people want them to do. But any discerning Kenyan, when you just chip a little, you find that that is just for the table. I'll tell you that we had a list, a long list, and they are telling us that some have been concluded, others are on course and so on. I'll tell you that the reason we guys applauded these guys, we thought that for the 18th time now, guys who have brought this country to its knees will be known. And we thought of big things that we have said and Kenyans have said. We did not expect that they are going to haul their members of parliament just because they are members of a committee and ask them, so did you get money or did you not get money? We did not expect them that they are going to follow up some governor who may have put information either willingly or falsely. We are not expecting them to do that. So I'll tell you something. You know, the law has not changed. The DPP up to now has the mandate, even a policeman investigating out there, has the mandate to take you to court for stealing something. But the reason EACC has been structured and the reason we put in so much money is that they go for grand corruption that is very complex in nature, that has the effect of bringing this country together. So I agree that when you look at things on the face of the table, you seem to think that there is a lot of things which is happening. But I'm now talking about the discerning Kenyan who knows that this, beyond this, is just a facade.
But who are you blaming for that? It's not really, I mean, you can't really blame the leadership.
No, I've got to. You see, let me tell you, Jubilee government, I'll tell you for free.
On this specific,
no, I'll tell you for free. Jubilee government, specific on this, this investigation, should move away from PR. There are things that touch Kenyans. They should, what they should do is to, first of all, answer the thirst of Kenyans. Let them go for Golden Bag. Let them go for Anglo-leasing. Let them go for the chicken guys. Let them handle things that when we hear, now they can now go for all these way bridges and all that. And we'll allow them.
You know, I cannot agree more. TJ, you are right. That we should go for Anglo-leasing. And exactly the question we should be asking, since the matter is in court, and Kenya is a constitutional state, a democratic state, who is responsible to process this matter to conclusion? It is the judiciary under one Dr. William Mutunga. Independent judiciary has been hoisted by Kenyans in the new constitutional dispensation. If we are talking about the other matters of PR, let's go to the substance, because they should not condemn branding and imaging. The content is that in this particular matter that has seized the attention of Kenyans, His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta did unveil a list. I personally have a problem with the total list in entirety. And we should blame, and by that I should expose and tell you that on Monday, 27th of April, I walked into the offices of EACC myself because I'm a member of a committee in Parliament, of Committee of Agriculture, which was mentioned in Totosam. And I spent a few minutes with those people, and I think there's a technical problem with some of these institutions, because when I appeared before them, I asked them, am I a suspect? No. Am I a witness? No. What are you investigating? The report on Mumias. Report on Mumias? This report is before the House. It has been tabled, awaiting debate. You or any other body, including the judiciary, have no business touching that report. In any case, I have sponsored a motion to reject that report because it is incomplete. We should be worried, Kenyans, in this big question, in this big time, as to the capacities of EACC, the judiciary, and the Office of Public Prosecutions. We should not be escapist and cowardly to blame the political arm executive or the presidency that is trying to do good to the country. In fact, Hussein, we should be asking the CORD coalition to provide specific solutions which can blend with the suggested solutions of the Jubilee government, so that we work together as one nation.
You're going to respond shortly. If you're talking about your personal experience as a member of the committee, and what you saw there as no investigations as such, some critics have then been saying, bouncing from what TJ Kajwang has been saying, the president actually, or the leadership of the executive, interfered with the independence of this Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. If they said the people mentioned in this list should step aside, and you're saying you went there and you found out there was no case really.
And what I'm trying to say is that the president and the presidency did provide a solution by not ignoring what was submitted to them, and was courageous enough to bring this to the House of the Representatives of the People of Kenya, the Joint House of the Senate and the National Assembly. And that is why both the Senate and National Assembly called at Jubilee, cheered, applauded the president for that action. Why Kenyans are worried, and I'm sure TJ is worried, because of the pace of the investigations, because of the dithering nature of the report we are receiving on a daily basis, and that should worry us more as a big question, that EACC, you know, about 2 months ago, Hussein, again to give an example, I submitted a complaint from Mukureni people to the office of DPP and the Police Oversight Board on a young man, Kingori, who was killed by a policeman who is known from Mukureni police station. To date, there has not been any action. We should be worried that what is being suggested and prompted by the presidency is not being matched by action by constitutional organs. And therefore, we should ask, Parliament has committees. We have the DPP. We have the judiciary. Okay. What are we doing? Let us not blame. Let us not blame others.
Hussein, what I want to say is that President Uhuru Kenyatta cannot run away from this. It is good to try to create pillars that there are institutions that should do this or that. But when you are running government, even though those commissions are independent, judiciary is independent, what the executive provides is a political goodwill, the push, so that they in their commissions, independent as they are, they in judiciary as independent as they are, work is done. That depends on how you harness your goodwill. But if these guys are going to think that you are quoting things for purposes of politics, they will just go there. I'll tell you something. Independent commissions, well, I wouldn't want to get involved in whether the executive got into that list and so. What I know is that they are issues which any Kenyan on the table knows that should be done. But the thing is that if we are going to move away from what is substance and go for what is a sideshow, then we miss it. My friend is asking me that CORD should provide a solution to some of these things. The first solution, which we provided long time ago, is that we should, when we are having an independent commission, let it be independent by all its stature. Right now, I do not know.
But you've talked about goodwill, yes, and the need to give it a push.
Yes.
And I want to read this SMS from Mary in Kiambu County. Let us give investigators the benefit of doubt. It is the first time, and I want you to tell me if you're agreeing to this or not. It is the first time in our history that corrupt individuals have been named openly. Do you agree with that, first of all?
Well, I agree.
So why would you then have a problem with the presidency and what they did? That was just a push.
Well, maybe I'm being too hard on these guys, but I can tell you that however soft I get, Uhuru cannot escape this, because the institution of executive is designed in such a way, whether presidential system or a parliamentary system, the presidency is the driver of all this. And yes, this is the first time we have had people being named for what? What are the issues that we have? What are the corruption that Kenyans are facing? If you talk about the agricultural industry, what is the problem with fertilizer? What is the problem with sugar? Where are these sugar barrels? These are the issues.
Excuse. We need to continue being consistent and clear. We are not saying that we hosted a presidential system and then created constitutional organs, the judiciary, national parliament. We devolved the government, we created an independent office of director of public prosecutions, and then we as opposition start saying in a rhetorical manner that we want the presidency to do that which is provided for in the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya to be done by independent organs. Let us be fair. And I'm very happy that Honorable Kajwang is saying, in a way, you are not completely blaming the presidency. And that's good enough. But I think you should have courage and say, the president acted on this matter in the best interest of the Republic of Kenya, and that perhaps there may be 1 or 2 individuals on that list who may be investigated and proved not to have committed a crime, but the president targeted his own cabinet secretaries, 5 of them, some very, very close allies, and that was a profile of courage.
Allow me to say something there. And allow me to say, first of all, I is we have to be fair to each other and to these guys that we're discussing.
Yes.
We need to decide if we are looking at corruption in a larger context, rather than pinning it on a list or some names that the president have brought of late. We want to see the spectrum, and this is why I am saying that when you see the whole picture, you find that there is more PR than the game. But you know, when you go even yesterday, I mean today, I was reading from the media how many people have been exonerated, how many people are still going to face the music, and I am a politician. And I'm analyzing, I am seeing some people who are off the hook just because they come from an area which is politically neutral. It doesn't matter if they go to court or not. But other guys must go to court because where they come from, you know, there are people that are coming from areas that we do not want to lose our votes. I have to say it according to my analysis.
I think there's a problem again. Because
that is you wearing your political glasses. You said that is you, right?
And I can't have to put those glasses all the time.
What we don't want, and that's why when the president submitted that latest list, and we should not be limited, I agree with you, Kajwang, to that list. We should be asking, so before the list was submitted,
what was
EACC doing?
And
before the list was submitted, the Director of Public Prosecutions, what was he doing on the various other past cases?
And the question then, bouncing again off from what Kajwang and Code is saying, should we see the presidency and the executive be more proactive in making these institutions that are there to fight corruption structurally stronger than giving this push that Kajwang is saying?
Again,
talking about,
you see, it is we Parliament more than the presidency. It is we who budget for the judiciary. It is we who allocate money to the National Audit Office. We allocate money to the Director of Public Prosecutions. The presidency is also allocated money by the same Parliament. The role of Parliament in budgeting, giving resources, even vetting members of these commissions is done by Parliament. We are being simplistic and we are being trivial to narrow down because we want to do a political war with the presidency. What we should be doing is to do a review, a reflective review on whether ourselves as members of the National Parliament, particularly the National Assembly, which in my view is more detailed in terms of these commissions, what we are doing in order to up the game.
Hussein, all I know,
absolutely.
Hussein, all I know, at the end of 5 years, there will be a scorecard by Kenyans. That scorecard will not be against the judiciary. It will not be against anti-corruption commission. It will be against the administration that was watching the fight.
Okay, I want to go into the role. Although EACC is an independent commission, that we all know.
Well, that's true. Yes.
Okay, I want to go to the role of MPs here. We saw, and I don't know what your personal views are on this, but we saw before the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commissioners resigned, the 3 of them, including the chairman, Mumo Matemu, they actually were crying, saying there are some people who are trying to force them out. We never saw any MPs talking about that, 1. And 2, you're expecting to vet new nominees for the same position. Are we expecting politics again at play other than merit?
Well,
and this goes to all MPs.
I'll speak about it because I happen to have been in that committee that discussed the anti-corruption commissioners and so on. And I'll tell you, if you follow the proceedings of Parliament on this issue, and my friend, for some of these issues, we really share a lot of thinking together. But I'll tell you that what we discussed was we went into the heart of things which were before us. And we knew that there was an institutional weakness within anti-corruption. But more than anything else, if you had given the charge of anti-corruption and for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, nothing seems to be happening, even if you are going to be God himself, you should step aside so that other people can push it. That is how we adopted that the anti-corruption, because of loss of flavor that they have had, really should give other people with angst and effort to move it. But we also said that we think that there are issues to do with the secretariat, that this thing is insidious, it is deeper than just the commission. I would love that the president now presents to us names of Kenyans, and I hope he's really thinking around it to give us one set of guys that will move these things. But whoever you are, even if you're an angel, without political goodwill in a country such as this, because you might as well start with the president himself. Okay. You might as well start with those people in high echelons. What will you do?
Very briefly, because you're winding up.
Yeah, in 2012, I was thrown out of parliament for opposing the appointment of Momo Matemo as the chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I was thrown out by former Deputy Speaker Farah Malim, and it was acrimonious before the House. We warned that Momo Matemo was not up to the expectations, because there are many questions about him. Connectivities with Agilo-Leasing, connectivities with, and his performance as KRI. In the recent voting in the parliament, I personally did not support the report, and I was among the 3 members of parliament who abstained, because I thought we are not being tottlersome. And here I agree with TJ that there are institutional weaknesses. Even today, we should have the courage to say, even the CEO of EACC is not up to the game, and I'm one of those who are very strongly convinced that he is playing politics. Yes, today. And I told them as much on 27th of April for 1.5 hours when I appeared before them for...
Why do you say it's playing politics? Very briefly.
Because really, we are looking at, we do analysis. We even we look at this matter and how the reports are being released. Even the way he's releasing the reports and saying, so and so has been carrying on this segment and all that, they were given some span of time. Before the president came to give that report, which report they had submitted. And you remember even the deputy CEO was at one time suspended. When I went there on that particular Monday, I saw the deputy CEO walking up the stairs, and I'm saying that the whole melodrama, the whole sarcasm at EACC need to be resolved beyond the removal of the commissioners, so that Kenyans can see surgery, and radical surgery, as painful as it may be. And we must start by saying that a position and a decision has been taken.
Now that you've said that, my final question is our big question. Do you think the ongoing graft investigations will yield the desired results?
Absolutely no, unless the institutions mandated to do their work, and until the opposition stops the escapist, simplistic criticism on one institution, the presidency, and decide to join on this important ideological position that must give Kenya a long-term solution.
Okay. Best way forward.
Well, the anti-corruption, the fight against corruption as it is not going to realize the results, because what are the results? For me, the results are grand corruption.
So what is the best way forward?
And I think that what we should have is an anti-corruption body and buttressed by a government which gives it the push that they need, the political goodwill which they need to fight these issues. And I'll tell you that, contrary to what my friend says, the buck stops with the president. Whichever way you look at it, presidential system, the constitution, or all these things never removed the president from...
So what Kajwang is saying is that the president must continue being merciless.
Oh yes, he should. He should, yes.
And what we are also saying is that even you people, the bishops, you the priests, and we the politicians, must stop celebrating the corruption.
The bishop's duty is to tell you who is corrupt and how that corruption is hurting the Kenyan. We are doing it very well, being the bishops of this country.
Okay, we are really running out of time. Being the bishops of this country, give me just one way you propose to change this.
Well, I really think, no, I really think what we need to do is to tighten up the mechanism at anti-corruption. I'll tell you this, that in the popular initiative amendment bill that we have proposed, one of the issues that we are handling is corruption. And we think that one of the problems we have is that anti-corruption needs to be pegged in the constitution itself. The Constitution only mentions it, but the structures are not in the Constitution at all. That is something which we must work on.
It's a wide topic. We can't finish talking about it, but thank you so much, Roraka MP, TJ Kajwang and Kabando Mukurweini, Member of Parliament. Thank you so much for making time for the big question. We're asking again, do you think the ongoing graft investigations will yield the desired results? Keep talking to us on 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag. The big question will be right back after this break.